Okay, so let's get on your phone or your computer, whatever you have. Go to, I don't know, just Google AP Classroom. And I think there should be like a join code that you can eventually find. And I'm going to find where the codes are for me. Let's see. View join codes. There we go. Okay. So hopefully, if you go to just Google AP Classroom, somewhere on there, or if it join an AP Classroom Google search, for second period, type in that little code, and then sixth period has their own
I
code.
think there's a separate website for the AP Classroom.
No, it's in College Board.
apcentral.collegeboard.org.
Ours is AP student College Board.
So for the most part, like, I know some AP teachers use these for like homeworks or tests or stuff. We are going to be doing the progress checks that are on there. That won't be until like the end of the month or, yeah, something like that. At the end of the 6 weeks for the first one. We are going to do the progress checks, and then like I just figured for the review for the test on Friday, our review, I put together some questions that are on there because they just have a whole list of old multiple choice and free response problems. So Google it. Are y'all able to find?
I'm just keep going to the College Board website. What's the website like? AP students dot.
We're all trying to go. And did it work though?
Yeah.
What you got? You got a question? Or you just
No.
Okay.
What's the second?
Alright, so I'll give y'all a minute to keep trying to get in.
The code is not reconciled.
I think you have to make sure all the capital letters.
I just messed up the letters.
Yeah.
What's our zip code?
The what code?
The zip code?
Oh, 77802.
It's like mine's 845. This is like a whole.
Yeah, mine's 845.
Where's that at?
College Station.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I used to tell people that.
I guess we're like 802, 803. I don't know if there's an 804. I'm sure 804 is in here.
I think so. I think there's the 808s.
For a student ID, is that like student identifier, student ID number that's used by your state, district, or school? So that's just like our lunch number?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I put.
The
Yeah,
semicolon.
that's
Like my ID number.
We're gonna do the same.
Stop by word.
I'm gonna give you some numbers of it. So the median, so like here's how many numbers there are, and so like how many total it is, and so it's gonna be a range. Like it's gonna be in the 0 to 2.5 or the 2.5 to 5. So you just say that. We don't know the exact number, but just roughly.
I'm enrolled in AP statistics.
How was I?
Yeah, 2 days ago.
I'm curious, what's the Spain look like when you're actually there?
On with a triple shot, like triple shot in it. I'm sorry, but I just chugged the whole thing. I took it like a shot. It was disgusting, but I took it like a shot. Oh yeah.
It's disgusting.
I just wanna make
I'm pretty sure that's about the course. This is like all of
Okay, so go back and go to the AP classroom. Maybe that's it.
Which one do we gotta do?
Yeah, okay, that's exactly what I want. Okay, so you gotta go. Okay, yeah, so once you get in, once you get in, click AP Classroom, and hopefully your AP Classroom looks something like this. On the phone or your computer, probably look different.
Go to this word shoulder.
Not remembering
I
password.
have it written down and I just got my list to double check my email.
Should I go to that?
Here, do you want to try it on an iPad?
I'm gonna watch that later. It's not hard.
I didn't know that.
Welcome, Mallory. Good job, Karen. Oh, the thing that's like
Okay,
student
then if you
resources.
return her, you can use my board.
I think that's like unit 1.
It's okay, it's charging in the back.
Exploring one variable data. Examine.
All right, so when you get here, so this is the AP Classroom, y'all's. I don't know how much stuff is up here. I do have like, I guess it's just not released to you yet. Maybe on Friday. It's like a review. It's just some multiple choice review questions that we can use on Friday after we do the quiz. But so we got your course overview. We are in Unit 1 for both Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. So this whole 6 weeks is like Unit 1 of the AP
Is
Statistics.
that like where it says 1A and then there's 2A, 2A, 2B, 2A, 2B, 2B?
No, those are like skills. So I think if you clicked on them, like it says 1A is a specific type of skill that you need to build up. Okay, so like you can see, like Unit 1 is like 15 to 23% of the AP test. So that's 15 to 23% of the 40 multiple choice questions. So I don't know, let me do that real quick. So it'd be like 40 times 15%, 40 times 23%. That's anywhere from 6 to 9 of the 40 multiple choice questions come from this first 6 weeks of stuff alone. So we still have one more unit to do after this.
So is it like
But
40 multiple choice and then some free response?
yeah, so it's 40 multiple choice and 6 free response. 5 of the free responses are like what we're going to look at today, and then the 6th free response is always like a higher level thinking. It requires something that like it's close to what we've learned throughout the year, but it takes you into like a little bit higher level thinking, and it's supposed to be harder. So that means typically there is like one of this unit that we just did, there's one free response problem. And it might have parts with other stuff, but so yeah, one of those free response. And so we're going to look at one of those today. Something new this year is if you look over here to the right side, hopefully yours says daily video 1, 1.2 daily video, 1.3 daily video, and there's maybe topic questions. I'm not sure if y'all have that link. Okay, not. But we have, so on this first chapter, that like this first test or whatever, we are covering all the way from 1.1 to 1.9. The normal distribution stuff will be like our next unit. So like if you're curious, like all these little daily videos are from just like, let's see, representing categorical variable with graphs. So these are just like nice little 6 to 8 minute videos from these teachers around the states that are just good teachers. So this guy, like, let's see, they're following, like, they're going to go over a couple things.
How do these graphical representations
about stuff.
help you describe categorical data or bar graph?
So I watched 4 or 5 of those videos, and they're good. They're helpful. And these people, the people that grade the AP test are teachers, and so these people have been part of the team of graders, so they really know what they're talking about on top of teaching it for 30 plus years. So watching those are probably not going to be I'm not going to be able to check you and say, did you do this? They're just there for a really good resource for like review for a test, and then review at the end of the year too, when we review for the AP test. But let's see. So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 videos. So all the way to 1.9 that you could watch and review for like the test on Tuesday. So those are helpful. Those are there for you, and we'll post some other stuff on there too. But I just wanted to point those out. Those actually came out yesterday, and I think it'll be really cool. Yeah, let's refresh this. Did I have more than 5 students logged in now? Let's see. 16, yeah. Y'all did it. Okay. Sweet. So that's that little resource there. What we're gonna do now is, I am recording so that they could know how to get on there. Thank you though, not Alethea. Wow, Alethea. You saw me do it? Okay. Okay. Alright, so what we're going to do is, you can see, I'm going to hand you the paper here. We're going to look at the 2016 AP Statistics Free Response question. You have, so on an AP test, you would have 90 minutes to do your multiple choice, and then you take a break, and then you have 90 minutes to do the free response. They give you 90 minutes, and at the top you can see that they give you kind of a guideline of like, hey, we recommend you spend about 65 minutes on question 1 through 5, and then there's a question 6 that they're saying you should probably give it way more time. Question 6 is typically a higher level, harder question, so it counts, I think it even counts for a little bit more, maybe not. So they kind of outline, but they're not going to time you on those. You have 90 minutes to take care of all of your stuff. So this was the 2016 test. I just have number 1, but it would continue on. So they give you a problem, and then they give you some space. If this was the actual, I think this one's a shrunk down version, because if this was the actual one, there would be like a gap here for you to write. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you the paper copy, and I just want y'all to write like A down here and write what we're doing. So let's do this. The code is not on Schoology, but I can go back.
Yeah, I did.
All right, there's the code right there. No, the email. I tried sending an email twice, and it didn't work. So yeah. Did it work, Caden? Okay. So let me come back here. That's not. No, well, they're just not all logged in like y'all weren't. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to give y'all this little paper, it's pre-response. You're sitting next to someone, so you can try it on your own. You can kind of work with the partner if you'd like. I just want to get y'all a feeling of what it would look like. I want you to try and answer. So the directions would say, show all your work, indicate clearly the method you use. So I just want you to try and give a good answer, and then we're gonna look at a rubric as to like how you would get a 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1 on that problem. Okay, just giving you a little taste of it. So let's do 8 minutes, 7 minutes on this problem. So there's a paper rock.
Mr. Hamilton, I have a teacher that makes us bring in papers to her.
Nice.
Yeah. My English teacher. I don't understand that we're not.
Well, I feel bad for English teachers. How do they not receive paper from you?
Well, if you think about it, you can just write on the card.
Yeah.
It was like something you keep in.
Okay. So we're gonna look at this. 7 minutes. Try it out. You can work with the person next to you. So write a full description of the graph, and then try and answer part B, and then we're going to look at the rubric. to what we would do.
Oh my god. I guess we should round to a whole number if it's faster.
I
I mean, you could have got
Guess
corona
that's-
from the time that you walked in there.
yeah, it's not a guarantee that it doesn't have it on it. But anyway,
You hope it doesn't.
we hope. And rebellions are built on hope. No? I don't know why. I watched Star Wars over the
I watched the whole all of them. I watched them.
They're like all on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I watched them all.
But my free Disney Plus subscription is about to be done.
Aw.
Because it came with
What
Verizon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Disney Plus. It was like a thing with Verizon and now
My
it's
brother and his
about to
older
be
roommates
done.
from college.
Yeah,
swear
it
by
was like
came
a
out,
year
and
or
they like
something.
Yeah.
forgot about it, and last night I logged into it. and
I don't
was
really
like,
watch it. I don't watch Disney Plus
I
enough
think
to
for
pay
like
for that.
$3 a
So.
month.
There's, okay, it's like there's good stuff on there, but it's not a lot of
And I'm like,
like it's just
I was like, when I first came out, there was like not that much stuff on it. I was like,
All right, let's look at this. So I passed you out the scoring rubric, and up at the top it has solutions, and those aren't necessarily exactly what you write. Those are a sample of something that would be a complete answer. So the way that these are graded, so per question, so for number 1, you can get a 4, 3, 2, 1, or 0. And so the way they do them is there's parts A, B, C, D on each of these. This one just has an A and B. And so they typically do it by, on each of these, you can get an E, a P, or an I. So an E, a P, or an I. So are you essentially correct, partially correct, or incomplete? And basically, you're based upon which of these you combined, you get a 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1. So, like to get a 4, you have to get both parts that are E on this one. It says to get a 3, you have to get an E and a P. And then, what's it say? You can get an E and an I, or 2 Ps, basically. And then, if you get an I with a P, you're there, and that, I guess that would be 2 I's. You can get a 0. So, those are like your little options, and they would just be added if you had a part C and a part D. You'd have to get 3 E's to get a 4. And then eventually for your response section in total, you'll get, or I guess then your AP score is like out of a 5. So I guess that's kind of confusing because you get a 5 on the AP test. But for free response, a 4 would be a full and complete answer. So if we're looking at it, where's my thing here? There we go. Did pretty good. So this is just a sample solution, and then here is the actual scoring part for part A. So they typically give you, here's how to get essentially correct, and there's things you have to tick off. And then partially and incorrect, it says to be partial, if you got 3 or 4 of those 5 components, you're going to be a P. So if we're looking at this problem, part A, write a few sentences describing the distribution. So I've been telling you to do a good description, you have to do SOC V plus context. So you need to address shape, outlier, center, and variability, and then in context. So somewhere in one of your sentences or one of your bullet point answers, it needs to say something about the tip amounts that she was giving. So if it does, you can put like a little check mark next to that section for you. Okay, so I want y'all to kind of grade yourself here. If you want to use a pen or just write it in your pencil, it doesn't matter. This is just us doing. You also don't have to do those of y'all that are here in person, you don't need to do the Schoology assignment for this. That's just kind of for the at-home people, just to get them a little experience looking at it. But you need to have that tip amounts on there, somewhere in your sentence. If you didn't, you're not getting credit for context. So it's shape. The shape here is skewed right, because we're tailing off to the right. So somewhere you're saying that. It doesn't have to be in this order. An outlier, I would say that you have at least one, so that's what they're saying, at least one, and you can say that it's in that interval from 20 to 22.5. Yes, ma'am.
Why were we supposed to say that it, like, the shape of it when it was asking about how the mean and median changed?
Well, this is part A. Oh,
I
wait.
didn't give you any space to write it, so it's like kind of smushed in there.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. So this is for part A. You're supposed to write a few sentences
Part
describing.
Yeah, that's.
That-
Oh.
Okay, you following?
Okay, yeah. Now
Alright.
I got it.
Yeah, so for part A, we're supposed to describe the distribution, and that would be SOC V plus context. So there's an outlier, or, so this is an interesting one, you could talk about how there's gaps instead of an outlier if there's gaps in your distribution. So that's even if it's like symmetric and it's, if there's gaps in it, you can kind of mention that too. So the center, they said you could list either your guess of where your median or mean is. Well, it's not actually a guess. So if I came back, I guess I got to come over here. Oops. Okay, so to get the mean or median, well, the mean is kind of a shot in the dark here, but we have 60 tips, that's total, or if you didn't see that up there, you could count up all those total and it equals 60. So if I'm trying to get the median, 60 cut in half is 30. I'm looking for that. That would be the number that's going up from 30. I think since it's even, there's going to be two numbers and we would average them. The thing is here, that's 25, and then all of those would be knocked off, and we're somewhere in here. We have no idea where, but we just know that our median is somewhere between 2.5 to 5. So you can't find the exact number, but you can tell me where the range is. So yeah, let me just drag this down here. I need to look at it again. So 2.5 to 5 is the median. The mean, I'm not really sure where they got 2.62 to 5.13 for a mean. I mean, that's like I think they probably, what they did, I would just tell you to use median on this. But the mean, they probably did something where they did 25 times, and then they got like 0 to 2.5. So maybe they did 25 times like 1.25, this times 3.75. I'm not sure what they did to get that exact number. I just would urge y'all probably not to do the mean. And you could probably guess that the mean is still in this area if you were doing mean. But for that problem specifically, where are we at? Okay, so got that pretty good. Okay, variability. Variability can be you talking about the range, standard deviation, or IQR. The standard deviation would be a really hard guess to do. So you could either mention something about range, which would be 0 to 22.5 as the most. Or they had another one, or you could do that the majority of the amounts were between 0 to 5. Which, that's what I talked about for IQR. So you can mention that as range. Just tell me the range for the variability, or tell me what my best guess at IQR. So I did the same thing. IQR is split into quarters. So I said, oh, so the Q1 is somewhere in here, no idea where. The median is in here, so that would mean so Q1 is the 15th number, Q3 is the 45th number. So the 45th number is also somewhere in here, so you could say your IQR is somewhere between 0 to 5. So you might not have done that, but they might ask you something like that, the IQR. So you could also find IQR, median, and stuff like that. But if you did range, that's a full answer in itself, and then context. So on that, there's 5 things, stock V plus context. So if you check mark and got every single one of those 5 right, you'd put an E next to A for you. If you got 3 out of 4, you got a P. If you got 2 or less, you got an I. So make a mark by A and tell me, just make a note to yourself, did you get an E, P, or I? E, P, or I for that. Come on, problem. Dang it. Almost. Okay. B, so part B scored as follows. So there were 4 things that we had to do, and if you got 2 out of 3 of them, you got a P. If you got 1 or less, you got an I. So these 4 things, that sample answer, they don't have to be exactly like that sample answer. You had to say that the mean will increase, and then use something to justify why the mean will increase. So let me do like my example here that I would do. Like I would have said, so the mean is here. What happened was they had an $8 tip in this jar. Now we take that away and it's more here, and they added a value out here. So we took away one and then we added a farther outlier sort of thing. So what happens when that does is the mean, what I did for this, without looking at the key, I just mentioned that the mean was non-resistant and that the outlier would pull it. It's more of a, towards the outliers, it would pull the mean to be a greater number. It would increase it. I don't know by how much it's going to increase, but it is going to increase. So I said, yeah, the mean will increase because 18 is greater than 8, and I would mention something that the mean is non-resistant, which they would like you saying something like that. The mean is non-resistant, so affected by outliers or higher numbers. That might not be an outlier, but it's definitely a bigger number. So something like that. Like on their sample answer, they came up with some wild stuff. They somehow came up with that they're going to increase by exactly 17 cents, which is impressive. I saw their logic there, but you didn't have to get that specific with this sort of thing. So on their key, if we looked at it, do I have it? Dang it. Oh, there it is down here. Yes. Using the board efficiently. Okay, so on their key, their sample answer, dang it. The way that they came up with it was, okay, I increased by $10 from 8 to 18. So then they tried to get the exact number the mean would go up. So they did, okay, $10 over 60 total tips is going to be 1/6 of a dollar. We're going to go up by 17 cents. But the key did not say that we had to have that specific of an answer. All it said was that the mean will increase and that you correctly justify in some sort of way why it's going to increase. So later on, once we're done, if you're wondering if your reason was justified enough, I can come around and let you know. Also, you should have said the median will not change and justify why it won't change. And this one was in the similar category as like, here is my median somewhere in this range, and I had a number here and I moved it here. So all that's going to happen is that number just gets crossed off earlier, but it was still getting crossed off anyway. So what happens is this median is still in whatever range it was here, just because I added a different number. Like if we did a really quick example, like here's a random median. So my median would be 2.5, and let's say I change 3 to be 20, it doesn't matter, it's still 2.5. So the median still didn't change just because I changed one of my numbers, would be kind of the reasoning there. So sometimes on these, I like to make myself, or I'll just think about it like a simpler thing that I can grasp with some really easy numbers like this and say, oh, nothing's gonna change, or what would happen there. So, something along the lines of like, the median's not gonna change, because that number was already being crossed off. It's still just one of our higher numbers. It wasn't a middle number. Like if we were taking the number, if I took the number 1 and made it, 22, then yeah, our median is gonna change. But because I was just taking one of these numbers over here, it doesn't matter. Yeah, let's see. So what do we have? So if you correctly said the mean will increase and the median won't change, then that's a check mark. And if you justify those in some sort of correct manner, which that's kind of up for interpretation, which I can help. So if you think you got 4 out of 4, you got an E. If you think you got 2 or 3 of those right, you got a P. And then if you got 1 or 0 of them right, you'd get an I. And then the scoring for it would be, like I said earlier, a 4 would be both E's, a 3 would be an E and a P. So then maybe mark on your paper, did you think you got a 4, 3, 2, or 1? And that would be just for that one question. So you don't get a 5 on a free response problem, you get a 5 for the total test in general. Yeah. So on the free response though, you can get at most a 4. Yeah. I don't know why they didn't do the same scale, but they didn't. Okay, so like we can just, that would be a free response problem. There's more examples, like this is the rest of them. So like here's another solution. So you can see there's like the same thing. There's like a part A, there's a part B. Oh, that one had a lot of notes on it. So some of these are like really big. Like question 2 had a lot in it. I don't know what question 2 was about. But these ones about graphs and describing are the ones where we can really earn our numbers, our values on our AP test, because these are ones that are really gettable if you do your SOC V and you do what's asked, like if you just fully describe what's going on and think through. I think these unit 1 problems are ones that like you can get 4s and 3s on, which the more we get, that's really helpful, because then they can get harder or trickier from there. So we really want to work on these, but just wanted to show you a rubric, tell you that SOC V is not just something I made up, but literally from the rubric and important. Okay, so we got 10 minutes till we get out. You've got some homework due in a couple days, and we got a quiz. It's going to be longer than one question this time, and then we're going to do a review with whatever time we're having. We might even just grade the quizzes that day, like self-grade it sort of thing, so that y'all can kind of get reviews that way, like really quick input for yourself. We'll see. Just made that up on this form. Alright. Gotta make sure to stop.